Hey, it's Allie, a Christian health and fitness coach, and today I'm actually here with my sister Michelle, and she's going to be helping me with today's video. And today we're going to be talking about common mistakes with planks. So whenever I'm in the gym, I see these mistakes all the time that people make when doing a plank, and some of these errors can also be applied to other core exercises as well. But I'm going to have Michelle demonstrate them, and then I'm going to kind of coach her through. And just as a heads up, we did not practice this together, so hopefully this goes well. Okay, so one of the first mistakes that I commonly see with planks is not breathing correctly or not breathing at all. So we're in the plank position, and it's really common just to hold our breath or to at least take shallow breaths and not breathe correctly. And that's a problem because when we aren't breathing correctly, we aren't using our diaphragm correctly. And our diaphragm is really important not only to help stabilize our core, but it's also when you exhale fully, you turn on your inner abdominals, your transverse abdominis, your obliques, and your diaphragm. So you're going to get more out of the exercise when you are breathing correctly, as well as prevent yourself from getting injured. You're going to be protecting your spine. So if you can't breathe at all, then as Greg Cook, who's a physical therapist and an industry expert in the fitness industry, he talks about if you can't breathe in the position, then you don't own it. And so you likely are doing a variation that's too hard for you, and you might need to do an easier variation. So if you don't believe me about the breathing, just try this 90-90 glute breathing exercise. So I'm going to have Michelle demonstrate it for you. This is something that I've been having her, as well as some other clients, doing. So she's going to relax here. What she's going to do, again, you want your legs in a 90-90 position. She's going to blow air into the balloon, and when she does that, she is going to exhale fully, and her rib cage will actually come down, and she's going to hold that for a count of 3 seconds and just really feel that tight, and you'll feel your inner abs that you have never probably felt before. So go ahead. Let's do 2 breaths here. So exhale all of that air out, then hold it. It's really tight here. And then she'll inhale again. Exhale all of that air out. And if you can see her face, it's lighting up too as well. It's hard. Okay, and relax. Good. So try that exercise. Oh, we're good? Okay, we can't. All we see is a black screen that says, sorry, we're having trouble playing this video. You can see me? Okay, we'll continue on. Okay, I'm going to move this chair away. Okay, so besides breathing, another common error that I see when you're in the plank position is having your hips up too high. So when your hips are up too high here, you're not using your core, you're using your shoulders more than you are your core. So again, you want to make sure that your hips are down here, and that's going to actually work your core. And then on the flip side of that is having your butt and your hips sag too low. And when you do that, you're actually hyperextending your back. And if you push your glutes up just a little bit while keeping here, you can really see how this accentuates your back here. It puts in, you're hyperextended and you're putting stress on your lower back. You can stop. I don't want to hurt you. Do you feel that in your lower back?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you are in a straight line from head to toe. So actually have you go back. And what you should be able to do is have, if you were to put a dowel on your back, you should be able to have it touch your tailbone, the back of your, the mid of your back, and then your head. It should all be in a straight line, and you should look as if you are standing up. Another thing is that will help you kind of correct that and to be in a good position is to squeeze your glutes. So whenever you start to squeeze your glutes, you'll automatically feel that your abs and your core are engaged and on. So if you want to go ahead, yeah. So stop squeezing your glutes. All right, now squeeze your glutes. Do you feel your abs come on?
Yeah.
And are you squeezing your thighs?
Yeah.
Yep. So you want to be tight all over. Okay. So another common error that I see in the plank position is allowing your head to drop or your head to come forward. So again, if we're using this dowel, as you can see, her head is no longer in line. So we want to make sure that your head is up here, and that's a good position. So again, you want to protect your spine, your cervical spine, whenever you're doing a plank. So go ahead and relax for a second.
Okay.
Okay, and then the next common error is putting your shoulders in a compromised position. So we want to make sure that when we're doing our plank that our elbows are in line with our shoulders. So sometimes when people set up for the plank, they're too far back, and then other times they're too far forward. And when you do this, you're putting your shoulder, you're internally rotating your shoulder and putting it in a bad position where you can cause pain and injury in your shoulder. Another thing is when you're allow your upper back to sag down. So you want to make sure that you're pushing away. What do you feel when you did that?
Just a lot of stress in my abs.
Stress in your abs. Okay, well you don't want to sink
back,
in your back. So, but yeah, if you're not actively pushing your body away from the floor, again, you're putting your shoulder in a compromised position. So make sure when you're doing a plank that your elbows are in a line with your shoulders and that you're pushing your body away. Another thing that I used to do all the time is actually to have my hands together as if you're like praying in the plank position. And again, even that can cause a little bit of internal rotation. So make sure that your arms are apart when you're doing your plank. And then another common mistake that I see, and this is more of when you get into the advanced variations of planks and you start to add dynamic movement to it, is that your hips start to shift and your body starts to rotate. You can go to the side for right now. So go ahead and go up and let's do a shoulder tap. So you can kind of see her hips rotate here. And this just tells me that your core is not stabilizing, you're not having any control of your core. And so sometimes this is just a lack of awareness. And if I put this stick here and tell Michelle not to touch it with her hips, it makes it a lot more challenging. But you can learn to stabilize your core in that position. If you've got foam rollers or something on either side, I learned that little tip from an FMS instructor, Mike Diebler, I think is his last name. So that's something you could try. Otherwise, you might be doing a variation that's too hard for you, and you should digress or regress the exercise and then work on core strength and stability in that. And once you own that position, then work your way up into the more advanced versions when your core is strong and stable. And then kind of going off of that is just focus on quality and not quantity. So a lot of times when we're doing exercises, whether it's plank, squats, or anything, we tend to just want to do as many reps as possible, do the most amount of time, and really you're not going to be getting anything out of the exercise. You might even be injuring yourself. And so really the goal should be to focus on quality and making sure that you've got proper form throughout the entire set. So if you have 10 reps and on the 8th one you're starting to feel your hips sag, or you're compromising your position in some way, then stop the set short. You don't need to get to 30 seconds or whatever the time is. Just focus on making sure that it's correct the entire time and you're going to get the most out of it, and then just work your way up with either reps or set. So those are the most common mistakes that I see when doing planks. Again, some of these principles can apply to other core exercises, and so my recommendation is when you're doing a plank, think about these errors and possibly even videotape yourself doing it, because sometimes we think that we're doing it right. When Michelle was doing a plank the other day, she didn't realize how much she was rotating her hips, and so I pointed that out to her. So sometimes if we film ourselves, we can actually see and be like, oh wow, I didn't know that I looked like that. And so feel free to try that and, think about your position. Again, you want to be in that straight line. So if you're not, try to correct that. Last thing too, with the plank, if that's too hard, an easier variation is to start with an incline. So you can be on your forearms, yep, and up here. So this is gonna be a little bit easier. So if that's where you need to start with a plank, or you could even try it on your knees too. I actually prefer the incline. You can do that as well. So I hope you liked today's video. Thank you to Michelle for being here and helping me demonstrate that. Hopefully you guys learned a lot from this, and you guys will have perfect plank form after fixing some of these corrections. I will see you guys next week live on Tuesday at 12 p.m. Central. Thanks for joining me today. Bye.